A Halloween night of fun turns into a night of horror when gunfire rings out into a crowd. Now, 2 people are dead and 7 others recovering.
What I did see was, pulled it out, pow. I felt the blood and then that's when I covered the wound.
Tonight, we hear from the victims, witnesses, and the doctors in the ER.
I'm thinking, what about these poor individuals? How many people have been affected, not just the ones that got shot?
We have WESH 2 team coverage from the police investigation to the suspect's background and safety concerns downtown.
And you're taking a live look downtown in Orlando tonight, where terror unfolded when a teenager opened fire on a crowd celebrating Halloween. And in just a few hours, a curfew will go into effect and all businesses will no longer be able to serve alcohol.
Yeah, those businesses are reacting to the emergency executive order signed by Mayor Buddy Dyer. We have a live team coverage of the mass shooting. We begin with WESH 2's Luana Munoz with how people are responding to the changes. Luana?
Yeah, Jesse, Michelle, this is normal out here on Wall Street for the street to be blocked off. But normally you would see hundreds of people combing these streets. In just 2 hours, these bars are going to have to stop serving alcohol. And in 3 hours, practically no one will be allowed on these streets. It's a slower night in downtown Orlando Friday, a big change to the crowd of 50 to 100,000 who came out to celebrate Halloween Thursday night. A gunman opened fire just after 1 a.m., killing 2 people and injuring 7 others. In response, Mayor Buddy Dyer signed an emergency executive order for downtown businesses to stop the sale of alcohol after 12 a.m. and a curfew from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. It's a move that many businesses in downtown say will impact sales.
I already have all my employees scheduled. They're all coming into work. They're on their way into work.
Thomas O'Toole manages 10 parking lots in downtown Orlando. He says the mayor's emergency executive order comes at the worst time, heading into the weekend. That's when businesses here are preparing for their best opportunity to make money.
To use a state of emergency? Well, do you feel like there's an emergency going on here?
And businesses say they're still recovering from losses following Hurricanes Milton and Helene. Now this. They say the shooting had nothing to do with them. The gunman was just 17 years old and, according to police, didn't go to any of the bars. Patrons we talked with say despite the shooting, they still feel safe in downtown.
I feel bad for the local businesses who have to experience this, because they're probably making out on great nights like this and they got to close up early. But at the same time, a big scare like that to the people, it's probably the best option.
And once again, there are not as many people out here for a Friday night. It is much calmer than usual. We've also been seeing a lot of law enforcement out here riding around on their bicycles, trying to keep it safe here in downtown. Now, the mayor's emergency executive order is expected to last just 7 days. Reporting live in downtown Orlando tonight, I'm Luana Munoz. Back to you.
All right, Luana, thank you. The shooting survivors have different types of injuries. An 18-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were both shot in the leg. A 26-year-old man shot in the foot. A 39-year-old shot in her hand. A 20-year-old was grazed by a bullet on his head, and a 19-year-old woman was shot in the upper back. The bullet, police say, is still lodged in her body. And several victims are still in the hospital tonight recovering after that shooting.
WESH 2's Haley Crumbleholm continues our live team coverage and joins us after hearing from some of the victims and people who were there last night. Haley.
Yeah, so traumatized is the word that a lot of people keep using about their experience last night. People are still recovering. There are still 4 people here at Orlando Regional Medical Center. The hospital says they are stable. A few people have been able to go home. We spoke with one young man tonight who was just centimeters away from potentially losing his life.
People were just running, throwing purses. People were getting trampled. Just surviving, just basic survival.
That's what people were trying to do early Friday morning after hearing gunshots in downtown Orlando.
I heard one, and then it sounded like 7 or 8.
This man shot this video of some of the aftermath. People screaming, running, and others left behind, laying on the ground.
I thought the young woman had just got knocked down in the shuffle, and I wish I had done something more to stop anybody from trampling or anything, but I didn't realize she was shot.
In total, 2 people were killed and 7 more injured, including Anthony Berry.
I'm usually studying and things like that, but I was like, you know, it's Halloween, let's go out.
It was a decision that would change Berry's life. Speaking from ORMC Friday, you could see the gash near his forehead where he was grazed by a bullet.
Something going straight through you with no way of you stopping it.
Berry said he saw a guy he's never seen before, acting aggressively, pushing one of his friends. He said he was just watching it happen, and then
he pulls out, just hand motion like that very quickly, and I just automatically just duck, crouch.
He was hit, grazed by the bullet. He's in EMT school at Valencia. His training kicked in.
We just went over trauma assessment, so I had my shirt, just covered it, grabbed it, just held the wound. I know it was bleeding profusely, and then followed the crowd. We ran and, like to say, get low. That's what we did.
He found the fire department and was taken to ORMC. He got 6 staples and 6 stitches. His doctor saying Friday a few centimeters difference, and things would have ended very differently for Berry.
Thank God just for the opportunity just to live life again.
Now, I spoke with some parents who had kids that were out downtown last night. They say this has been traumatizing for them. This is going to be an emotional recovery and a physical one for the people that are still here at ORMC. Live in Orlando, Haley Crumbleholm, WESH 2 News.
Tonight, we're learning one of the people killed was a UCF student. In an email sent to the community, school officials say they are in contact with family members, roommates, and friends to offer extra support, and their hearts are heavy with grief as they mourn the tragic violence.
The 7 people shot and hurt in the shooting were rushed to Orlando Regional Medical Center to be treated. One doctor who got the call to rush into work was also called in the night of the Pulse nightclub massacre.
Not again. You know, you get the call, and honestly, when it was actually Dr. Chad Smith was on call again last night, the same one that called me in on Pulse. And first, I really did have to kind of wake up a little more and say, is this really happening again?
Dr. Ibrahim there said that experience helped prepare him for what to expect in the emergency room in a situation like this, and that new training and trauma facilities allow them to better care for people.
Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer partially blames state laws making it easier for people to carry guns.
We want a downtown that is fun and vibrant, but we have experienced lately that brazen criminals are willing to come downtown and shoot and kill innocent victims right in front of our police officers. And it's unfortunate that the changes in the state concealed weapons laws have made it even easier for people to carry guns and bring guns downtown.
We asked the police chief earlier today about having checkpoints to screen people for weapons. He said the state law meant that they had to eliminate that safety measure.
Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings released a statement echoing Mayor Dyer's. It reads in part, quote, "We need more progress in taking guns out of the hands of those who should not have them, including teenagers." Orange County allocated additional funding this year to support youth-related programs that offer teens positive alternatives to the type of activities that lead to juvenile delinquency and violence. It will take all of us working together to come up with solutions, end quote. Meantime, tonight we're learning more about the suspect, Jalen Edgar.
WESH 2 sat down with the teen's brother, who says he was also downtown overnight. Summer Knowles is joining us live in studio. And Summer, the brother says that this all could have been prevented.
That's what he said. Before the violence erupted in downtown Orlando, Jeffrey Edgar was right there with a group of 30 members of the Nation's Church Young Adult Ministry. Now, the group was apparently in the same area of the shooting and just left about 30 minutes before it started. Jeffrey says he was shocked to find out that his half-brother Jalen here is allegedly the teenager seen on video opening fire. Jeffrey says he last spoke to Jalen just 2 days ago, a phone call where he says he urged his little brother to get back on track and get his GED. Jeffrey says he doesn't know who, if anyone, his brother was targeting. Possibly he just wishes he had spotted Jalen in the crowd before he allegedly pulled out a gun, because he's he's convinced that if he would have seen him, things would have been different.
I wish I at least just would have got a chance to talk to him. He would have came with me, just what it would have been.
Now, Jeffrey says he hopes to connect with his brother again when he can and continue ministering to him, just as he says he did a couple of days ago. Michelle, back to you.
All right, Summer, thank you so much. This is just the latest scare that has taken place over the last several years. Back in 2021, 4 people, including a 16-year-old, were shot and injured. In August of 2022, 7 people were shot at 2 in the morning after a fight broke out. And 1 year later, a gunman shot and injured 2 Orlando police officers. The suspect was later shot and killed in a gunfight with SWAT teams. Stay with West True News on air and online, and with our free West True News mobile app as we continue to follow this developing story. Be sure to turn on those notifications to receive any breaking updates right at your fingertips.